welcome to Genesis Junction. It is the last lesson of the month, so that means it is birthday Sunday. Yes, and we have 4 birthday passengers. Let's find out who they are. And you know what? They all have a different age. So let's see if you can guess. Somebody is turning 6 just this week. This little girl passenger turned 6 on the 25th. Who is that? That was Braylee Larkin. So let's all say happy birthday to Braylee. You may have seen her last week. She had on her unicorn crown. All right, and then the next person, the next 2 are boy passengers. One is 8, and the other turned 9. Who could they be? Let's see, one of them lives way up in Lorraine. Yes, who is that boy? That would be Vito! Happy birthday to you, Vito. And the other one that turned 9 this month, actually last week or 2 weeks ago, probably by the time you watch this, he lives right down the street from church, right down the road this way, just a mile. Who's that? Emmett Mosier, happy birthday to you. And one more in that same household, his sister, Catherine. She turned 11. So happy birthday to you, Catherine, right? Awesome. I hope you got your cards in the mail. I hope they arrive safe and sound, and we look forward to seeing you in person soon. We miss you. We miss you all. So, happy birthdays. Now, I'm going to change out of this happy birthday hat and look for my conductor hat. There we go. Now, everyone is ready. It's time to get to Genesis Junction. And look, we are back. The train has left the station and we are back in Jerusalem. We were there last week with our friend, who was it? Nehemiah, yes, as he was rebuilding the wall. Yes, who can tell me what happened there? Do you remember what was happening last week with Nehemiah? Yes, there was enemies that were around, and they were trying to stop them from building the wall, right? So Nehemiah, who is a good leader, what did he do first? He went to God with prayer, asked God to help them, and then in faith he moved forward. He didn't wait for God to build the wall. No, he and all the people, the women, the children, everyone was helping to rebuild the wall, and they got it done. Even though they had to build with their stones and hammers in one hand, and they might have had a sword or something for defense in the other hand in case the enemy came nearby. So that was what we talked about last week. And before we talk about what we're going to talk about this week, which is more with Nehemiah, I want to go over our Bible truths because it's been a few weeks since we've done these and we're almost to the end of our unit. So I bet you are knowing these pretty well. So let's hear those answers, right? The first one is all of God's words in the Bible are what? Yes, they are, let me hear you, true. Yes, they are true. And the second one was, what word means that God will always keep his promises? What's that word? Yes, faithful, right? He is faithful. And we are seeing that right now as he has been bringing the people back from captivity out of Babylon and Persia and bringing them back to Judah and Jerusalem, just like he said he would. When can we trust God? When? Yes, all the time. You got it. And lastly, is forgiveness of sins a gift from God? Is it? Yes, it is. We are saved by grace. Yes, we are saved by grace. Good job. You remembered all of those Bible truths. Now, let's get on to pick up where we left off with our friend Nehemiah. Okay? Now, Nehemiah was a leader, and he wasn't just any leader, he became the governor over Judah and Jerusalem. Now, you might think of our governor. Does anyone know who the governor is of our state of New York? Yes, Andrew Cuomo is the governor of New York State. So what are some other positions of leadership besides a governor? What else? Shout out some other people that are leaders. Yes, your teachers. That's very good. They're leaders. They lead you in school. And then probably the superintendent or the principal. Yes. Who else? Oh, yeah, if you go to Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts, you may have a Girl Scout leader or a Boy Scout leader. The president. Yes, the president. Or if that's in the United States, if you live somewhere else, the leader might be the king or queen of a land, right? All of those people are leaders. There's our military leaders, like corporals, sergeants, all the way, captains, all the way up the line. So we always have leaders. Oh, who's our leader here at church? No, not me. I may be the leader for the kids, but the leader of our church is, Pastor George. He's our pastor, and he is the leader of the church. And he doesn't do it alone. He does it with a group of other people to help guide him. And that's wise counsel. Now, Nehemiah, right? Nehemiah was the governor. So he was the leader of Jerusalem and Judah back at that time, okay? Leaders do not have to be famous, or they don't have to be really big or really popular. God looks in leaders for anyone who will obey him, anyone who will listen to what he has to say and do it. That's what God looks for. So, what we remember about Nehemiah was that he led the third wave of Jews back to Jerusalem, right? And they rebuilt the wall. Now, Nehemiah cared about, he cared about the Jews living in Jerusalem. And he wanted to help them as their leader. But do you remember these guys? These were the bad guys from last lesson. Well, they're back. Do you remember their names? Probably not. They're kind of tricky. But it was Sanballat, Tobiah, and Geshem. And when they saw those walls going up, they were worried. So they started doing tricky things to try to keep Nehemiah from finishing his work. First of all, Sanballat and Geshem sent messages to Nehemiah. So they sent him a message. Well, let's see. They were far away, so they wrote this message and sent it off to Nehemiah. Oh, look. Here's my little message pup. Oh, yeah. This is, I think today, this Sunday, someone will be going home with the pup. But for today, he's delivering messages. So let's see. Oh, here's a message. Okay, good job, pup. So let's see what the first message says that Sanballat sent to Nehemiah. It says, "Come and meet with us in the plain of Ono." Do you think Nehemiah should meet with these guys? What do you think? Yeah, Nehemiah, he knew it was a trap. So he knew his enemies only wanted to hurt him. So he decided not to go anywhere and meet them. So, those guys sent another message to Nehemiah. With the delivery pup. No. Thank you. Good job. All right, message number 2. It says, this is the message that Nehemiah sent back because he knew it was a trick. "I am doing a great work, and I cannot come down. Why should the work stop while I leave it to meet with you?" Good point, Nehemiah, right? Why should he stop working while everyone else is working so hard to get the wall done to go meet with them? It was a real excuse, even though he knew it was a safe excuse as well. Nehemiah knew finishing the wall was very important, and he would not pay attention to his enemies. But Sanballat and Geshem kept trying. They sent the same message, asking Nehemiah to meet with them 4 times. And each time Nehemiah said, nope. So Sanballat decided to try something else. He sent another letter to Nehemiah. Here comes the delivery pup. Let's see what this one says. Let's see. It says, "I've heard that you and the Jews are building the wall because you plan to rebel against the king. And you, Nehemiah, wish to become king of Judah. We will make sure the king of Persia hears about this, so you better come and meet with us." Ooh, that sounds like a threat. But was it true? No, it was a lie. They were trying to fool Nehemiah into coming to meet with them. Sanballat said he would tell the king that the Jews were rebelling. So he would lie to the king. And that means they were not going to obey the king and would fight against him. He also said that Nehemiah wanted to take over. And this was not true. Sanballat hoped that this would scare Nehemiah. Let's see how Nehemiah answered Sanballat. Okay? So Nehemiah wrote Sanballat back. And this is what he said. None of those things you're talking about have been done. You are just making them up. Basically, he's saying what? You are a liar, liar, pants on fire. He knew they were making that up. Right? The king had given Nehemiah special permission to go to Jerusalem and rebuild the wall. So he wasn't afraid. Nehemiah had work to do for God and his people. And he was not going to allow the enemy to keep him from it. These enemies wouldn't quit bothering him, though. So what do you think Nehemiah did? What should we do when we have problems? What should we do? Yes. When worries and troubles bother us, it can get tiring. Sometimes we feel like giving up. Nehemiah prayed and asked God to strengthen his hands so he could keep doing the work God gave him to do. Well, the enemies of the Jews were getting frustrated. They couldn't get Nehemiah to meet with them, no matter what they did or what they said. So they set up a sneaky trap. This time, they hired another Jew named Shemaiah, who was a false prophet. Let's find out if Nehemiah fell for the trick that they were planning. Let's go to our Bibles, to the book of Nehemiah. Okay, so you can hit pause for just a second and get your Bibles. Find Nehemiah, and we are going to be in chapter 6. And when you've found chapter 6, verse 10, then hit play again, okay? All right, we are here in chapter 6, and we're going to read verses 10 and 11. And let's see what happened when Shemaiah went to see Nehemiah. One day I went to the house of Shemaiah, son of Delaiah. Delaiah was the son of Mehetabel. Shemaiah had to stay at home. He said, Nehemiah, let's meet in the temple of God. Let's go inside the temple and close the doors. Men are coming at night and they might kill you. But Nehemiah said, should a man like me run away? Should I run into the temple to save my life? I will not go. So, where did Shemaiah want Nehemiah to go with him? Yeah, in the temple. Now, God gave special rules about the temple, and could anyone go in the temple? No. Who was the only ones allowed to go in the temple? Yeah, the priests, right? no one else was allowed to go in there, and Nehemiah knew that. So he knew that Shemaiah was trying to trick him. Nehemiah's enemies knew that if he hid in the temple, it would make him look like he was afraid and didn't trust God or didn't respect his rules or God's house. Nehemiah knew that only the priests were allowed in the holy place inside the temple, but he was not a priest. So it would be wrong for him to go there, and he knew that Shemaiah was working with his enemies. God was faithful to help Nehemiah and the Jews complete the rebuilding of the walls while protecting them from their enemies. Nehemiah stayed in Jerusalem for 12 years, leading the people as their governor. He didn't just help them build the walls and gates, but he also helped with another problem that had caused great trouble for many. We talked about a couple weeks ago before how the Jews in Jerusalem were bothered by their enemies, but they also were being mistreated by their own officials, by rich Jewish officials. Okay, if you can see right here, we talked about, how they were being mistreated by the rich Jewish officials. Things seemed hopeless for many of the Jews in Jerusalem. Since they were busy working on the wall, they couldn't work in the fields, the vineyards, and the olive orchards to grow food. They were forced to sell their houses and land to get money for food and to pay their taxes. When they had nothing left, they had to sell their own children as slaves. If someone, here's one of the little girls right there. If someone borrowed money from the officials, they charged extra money when the person tried to pay them back. The people had no way to pay back the money they owed or to free their children. Plus, the officials took part of everything the people were growing from the land, their grain, their oil, and their wine. When he heard what was happening, Nehemiah was furious, right? These were his own people taking their own families and their own other people as slaves and taking money from them. He called together all of those that were causing the problems. Nehemiah told them, this isn't right and it needs to stop now. The rich men listened and agreed to do as Nehemiah said. They returned the things that they had taken from their own people. Nehemiah wanted to please the Lord as a good leader. He knew it was hard for his people to start over in Judah after they had been gone so long. And he cared about their needs for things like food and homes. But he also cared about their spiritual needs. This group of Jews had not been taught about God's laws. So Nehemiah gathered all the people together and asked Ezra to read the book of the law to them. Remember Ezra? He was the priest who came back to Judah with the second wave, right? He wanted to teach the people about God's laws too. So let's go to chapter 8 in Nehemiah and see what happened next. Okay, so let's get to chapter 8, and we are going to read verses 8 through 10. They read the book of the teachings of God. They read so the people could understand, and they explained what it meant. Then the people understood what was being read. Then Nehemiah the governor and Ezra the priest and teacher spoke up. And the Levites who were teaching spoke up. They said to all the people, "This is a holy day to the Lord your God. Don't be sad or cry." All the people had been crying as they listened to the word of the teachings. Nehemiah said, "Go and enjoy good food and sweet drinks. Send some to people who have none. Today is a holy day unto the Lord. Don't be sad. The joy of the Lord will make you strong." Yeah, so what happened there? Yeah, the people, as they were understanding and hearing the word, some of them for the very first time, some of them had heard it before but forgot. But they understood it. And when they understood the teachings, the law, then they understood what? That they were sinners. And that made them sad because they knew that they were sinning against God. So they were crying and weeping. But what did Nehemiah and Ezra tell them? Do not cry, right? This is a holy day of the Lord. Now you understand. Let's celebrate. That is awesome. Now that they knew what God commanded and that they were sorry for their sins, they could celebrate and worship God together with joy. So, Nehemiah was a good governor. He cared for his people, right? He cared for his people. All right, let's take a look at your homework. All right, and then we will pray. Okay, so your homework looks like this. For the Adirondack Mountaineers, this looks like our poster from class. It says, circle the things that don't belong in the picture. Okay, so there might be some things that should not be there, and you can circle those. And here is half of a scroll, right? It says, what made Nehemiah a good leader? He prayed. And look, it's only got one side of the hands. So you can trace the other side. And also he made sure that they knew the law. And the law was written on the scrolls, right? So you can follow the dots and finish the scroll. And then you can color it. And then you can roll it up and tie it just like a scroll. And there's also a coloring page to go with the Justin and Jesse story. And of course the link to that is found on the back in the parents' information. And your memory verse for this age group is what? 1 Peter 5:10, right? 1 Peter 5:10 is for the Adirondack Mountaineers. And after you have suffered a little while, let me hear those verses, all right? And then for the older class, there's a couple more verses to read in Scripture for you. And you have on your class notes, it looks like a crossword puzzle here. And the word bank is there to help you fill in the blanks. There is a coloring sheet for you to review the lesson. And there's also, to help you with your memory verse, there is a fill in the blank on your take-home sheet. Now, your memory verse changed last week. Remember, now yours is Jeremiah 33, verses 7 through 8. I will restore the fortunes of Judah and the fortunes of Israel, and rebuild them as they were at first. I will cleanse them from all the guilt of their sin against me, and I will forgive all the guilt of their sin and rebellion against me. What a good word. Okay, so you can get your name in the drawing again if you tell me that new memory verse. All right, very good. And there's a little something extra in your take-home sheets here. It's called How Can You Serve? Now, there's some cards you can cut out, pieces of paper that have questions on them. And these are some good discussions to have with your parents. You can cut them out, put them on the table, and maybe each night at dinner you take a card and you read it and you talk about it. And these all have different situations where you can serve someone else, like Nehemiah. He served his people. Even though he was the leader, he was a servant leader, and that's the best kind. Okay? So that's something you can do. And there's one more thing here. I can't wait to share this with you. This is coming up real soon. And if I haven't given you one in person, can you see this? I am going to send it in the mail to you this week. So this is something fun we've never done before, and we are going to try this as an Easter event just for our families here at Ralph. Okay? So it'll be great. This is an escape room. I don't know if anyone's done an escape room before. And, you know, they're at the mall or in some special places. And, of course, this one won't be quite so techy and tricky as those. But it is going to be fun. And your family can come, each family one at a time. We'll have certain times to set up just for you. If you call me and let me know. And your family moves from room to room to room, trying to crack some codes and break the mysteries of Easter. Okay? Break some mysteries that happen when Jesus headed to the cross and of the resurrection. And then we have some prizes for everyone that participates and a great family picture opportunity if you can escape the rooms and get out with the special code at the end, okay? We also need volunteers for this. So if you have teens or parents, even if you don't have littles anymore, you want to help out, I encourage you. I need soldiers to help guide the families from room to room. And I need like a greeter to explain how the evening works or the daytime, how the event works. And then someone at the end that checks off all their mysteries, make sure they got it right, and to take the family picture. Okay? So please let me know if you would love to help, or if your family, say, goes Friday night and then you want to help out during the day on this Saturday. This is going to be Friday and Saturday, March 26th and 27th, so the weekend before Easter. All right? So really only about a month to prepare and plan. So let me know, parents, if you'd like to help. And we hope you bring the kids. It'll be safe, just one family at a time moving through. Some of you have to read, and of course you can read to your children to help them get through each of the challenges. But it's geared towards ages 8 and up. If you do have younger ones, then if you do have a family at church that you've been hanging out with during this time, just extended family that has older kids, you can jump together maybe. But just, for any of you that have the littles, unfortunately, it's kind of probably above their level, but maybe there's a way we can work together on that, okay? So I'm excited to bring this and offer this to everyone because I think it's going to be a great time. So let me know if you can help, and let me know if you want to come, because we only have 14 slots. We're going to give families about 45 minutes to move through the challenges. So that's all the space we can do. And that's over one evening and most of Saturday. Okay? All right. It is time to go. So it was a great birthday Sunday, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.